Radiant as the Blood of the Baboon Heart is the feature-length, likely finale of the Venture Brothers. It was released for digital purchase on July 21st, 2023, and on Blu-ray July 25th. It was co-written by Doc Hammer and Jackson Public. In it, Dr. Venture plans to unveil a Ventec-branded smart speaker called the Helper Pod. New villainous organization Arch makes trouble for the Guild. The Monarch is barred from arching Dr. Venture until his exact blood relation to Dr. Venture can be ascertained, and Dean is looking for a runaway Hank. Dr. Venture dismissively refers to Meteor Majour as a honeycomb hideout, which is a reference to an advertising campaign from the 70s and 80s for honeycomb cereal, which featured kids in a treehouse called the Honeycomb Hideout.
Come to the Honeycomb Hideout.
I'm Big Betty the Blonde Bomber, and I want a big cereal.
When Pete White says,
"So basically, you Blue Monday'd it,"
he's talking about the original packaging for the release of the single Blue Monday by New Order. The package was so elaborate that it actually cost more to manufacture than it was sold for. Phantom Limb likens Brick Frog's costume to H.R. Pufnstuf, which is a fairly apt comparison. The movie features two pieces of licensed music. The first plays during Hank's runaway montage, and it's Small Town Boy by Bronski Beat. Later, when the Helper Pods are first ascending, they ascend thanks to the high volume of It Takes Two by Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock. Sharing a workspace at an abandoned factory in Chicago are Clayton, which is a reference to the character Peyton from Darkman, Seth, which is a reference to Seth Brundle from The Fly, and Tough Love, who seems to be a take on the Punisher. The Monarch and 21 are disappointed by the weird belly buttons on the suits they get from Arch, likening them to the costumes from Batman Forever, which have been famously made fun of for their inclusion of realistic nipples. The group of Blackulas that Jefferson fights have been plucked straight from the movie New Jack City. This scene starts out with a visual reference to the Michael Douglas movie The Game, and then ends with a reference to Minority Report.
"I'm sorry, Sheila, but you're gonna have to run away." "What?"
I'm sorry, John, but you're gonna have to run again.
The career trajectory of Bobby St. Simone borrows from real-life actress Tippi Hedren, who, after leaving acting behind, similarly devoted her life to protecting animals, specifically lions in Tippi's case. There exists a popular conspiracy theory that Stanley Kubrick was hired to fake the moon landing. In the Ventureverse, not only did he fake it, but Jonas Venture helped him do it. Not sure why the moon landing had to be faked in this world of super science, though. This line in particular was too weird not to be a reference to something.
"We never vodeo-do-do'd."
I googled vodeo-do-do, and it seems to originate from Laverne and Shirley. Sure, why not?
A society gentleman would only go out with you for one reason. To have a good time, a few laughs, and a little vodeo-do-do.
I don't vodeo-do-do.
You vodeo-do-do.
I don't vodeo-do-do.
You vodeo.
If you're unfamiliar with Zardoz, it, like Barbarella, is a weird-ass sci-fi movie from an era of weird-ass sci-fi movies. Unlike Barbarella, Zardoz features Sean Connery dressed like this and traveling around in a giant weird head thing. And finally, here's Molly Ringwald sitting on a table in 16 Candles, which Red Death/Daisy was reminded of observing Mantilla doing the same. As Billy and Pete demonstrate the Helper Pod's ability to float for the first time, the song they use is Jacket by Hank Dermott and Helper's old band Shallow Gravy. Look, some of these are going to be of the no-shit Sherlock variety. And some of these are going to be subtle things that I didn't notice on my first watch, but maybe I'm just slow. For example, the big window on the Triad's headquarters has a Star of David on the outside, but on the inside, thanks to Orpheus's magic, is the Triad logo. Another thing I didn't put together right away is that Brick Frog was trying to steal indestructible building materials. In other words, indestructible bricks. The ultimate weapon for a Brick Frog. And finally, amongst the many callbacks in the form of props in Dermot's room, he actually has the artificial womb that we see Dr. Venture wearing in the post-credits stinger. Hank's multiple personalities are Detective Hank, calling back to Season 4's Everybody Comes to Hank's, the Bat, which was first seen all the way back in Season 2's Love Bites, Russian Guyevich, the foreign exchange henchman Hank pretended to be in Showdown at Cremation Creek, and Enrico Matassa, whom Hank first created to get into Dunwich Asylum in Season 5's Mama's Boys. And Hank's memories at the compound call back to the pilot, assisted suicide, the buddy system, Tears of a Sea Cow, Trial of the Monarch, The Doctor is Sin, Blood of the Father, Heart of Steel, A Very Venture Halloween, Tears of a Sea Cow again, Pomp and Circuitry, Operation Prom, The Devil's Grip, Self-Medication, From the Ladle to the Grave, Powerless in the Face of Death, Tag Sale You're It, and wrapping back around to the pilot again. Billy Quizboy leaves Ventec Tower excited about his mother's chicken piccata. Previously, he was excited about his mother's veal piccata in Red Means Stop.
Come on, let's go. I called my mom and she's making veal piccata tonight.
It's good, and I hate veal usually.
It's veal piccata. It's great. Can't wait.
This scene here is likely the same day that a young Rusty Venture saw his father's penis that was flashed back to in The Doctor is Sin. Here's a clip from the commentary of The Doctor is Sin.
Up until the last minute, Jonas was going to have like smears of blue paint on him because there was this opening scene where Rusty, was a little boy. This actually happened in the past. And Jonas Venture was the science consultant on the set of a horrible 60s movie called Follow That Bikini about an invisible woman. And he was there to tell
I can
them.
barely follow what you're saying, so I am so glad that you cut all this stuff out.
So it was Rusty's first crush was the star of this movie. And so there was this whole other element where Rusty was alone at that breakfast table, and before Jonas walked in, this beautiful woman walked in that he had had a crush on this movie set.
And Daddy nailed her.
And she gave him like a signed picture of herself and kissed him on the cheek and stuff like that. And then Daddy came down. Daddy had nailed the woman who was covered in blue paint because they were doing a blue screen invisible bikini thing. It was like so complicated.
And speaking of Follow That Bikini, Serena was actually shown watching the movie in Season 6's Faking Miracles. Here we see Boggles the Clue Clown getting arrested, previously only seen on screen at his own funeral in Bot Seeks Bot. Force Majeure has been talked about all through the series, but this is the first time we're officially seeing him. There's some speculation that this council member is Crimodile, first referenced in Powerless in the Face of Death.
Flames filled the crock pit. We all know the score. Crimodile hits the eject, saving me. He was like that. His henchman always came first. Anyway, Captain Sunshine kept on his tail, kept on, and ship goes down. Captain Sunshine takes out one more evil deal. Big deal. I'm out of a job, right? Just like that. Sorry, Charlie.
We also get a little glimpse at a younger Red Mantle and Dragoon. We catch up with Ben, who was previously only seen in A Very Venture Halloween, and we see Ventronic again, which was previously piloted by JJ, Sally, Pirate Captain, and Ned in The Lepidopterists. Typically, I shy away from talking about reused background characters, but considering that this movie is full of brand new character designs, I don't think it's a coincidence that these dudes show up who were originally in the pilot. And finally, when Dean shows up in Comatown, it's both a reference to Atreyu's costume from Neverending Story and a callback to the fact that Dean wore this in his mind previously in Showdown at Cremation Creek. I put out a review video last week that was maybe more negative than I wanted it to come off. I pointed out things I didn't like, but ultimately, I did love this movie. I don't have much more to say than that about it, and I've already had a sort of emotional, sappy goodbye a couple times now on this channel, so I'll just say one last time, thanks for watching, I love you all, and I love the beginning, middle, and end of the Venture Brothers.